Good morning. This is Robert Goodman here on YouTube, Positive Stroke, Staying Clean, and I'm happy that you are part of my recovery. I'm happy that you're here and that we can sit and we can talk about addiction. And today I want to share about how I got into recovery. What happened was my first initial meeting with recovery was I was smoking an ounce of cocaine in a 24-hour period for 18 months, and I had multiple heart attacks. When I was diagnosed, they told me I had more cocaine in my system than blood, and they didn't understand why I was still alive. The amount of cocaine that I used enlarged my heart. So as I was repairing myself through allowing the doctors to do their job, I could not function like I would normally function. I was totally broken down. I had messed my body up so bad that I was under 100 pounds, and I had to eat every 2 hours because the pain that I would receive from being malnutrition was very painful. So they fed me every 2 hours. Yes, I destroyed my body. And this was the fact that I wanted to do it my way, that I knew the best course of action for Robert and what made Robert feel good. Yes, I accomplished a great task of keeping plenty of dope, but something that was so pleasure to me destroyed my life. And for the first time, the idea that drugs was destroying my life hit this hard head of mine. But I wasn't convinced. I was still thinking about getting and using some more. A matter of fact, at the hospital, I found about 4 dubs of crack cocaine. Yes, in the hospital. And that's very interesting because I had no pipe to smoke it. And these 4 dubs constantly worked my brain. Well, you can do it this way. You can find something that this way to do this. You can do it this way, or you can do it that way. But the objective is you got to get it into your system so you can get high, so you can feel good. Robert, you're the doctor. Doctor don't know what you need. You know what you need. And that was what my addiction was telling me. And it's crazy to have this in your hand and unable to use it when this is what you've been doing for such a very long time. And there was this nurse, and she would come in and she would grab my hand and she would rub my hand. And I think purposely she would show me her cleavage and to get my attention. And she would rub my hand and she said, Robert, you don't have to live like this, but you choose to live like this, but you don't have to live like this. And my eyes was on the cleavage, but allowed my ears to open and listen to what she had to say. And she would do this every single day. She talked me into talking to a person in social services at the hospital, and they got me into a treatment program. Excuse me. And so she talked me into joining the program, and I went to the program. And I had to eat every 2 hours. That was in the information that the medical staff forwarded to the program. So I was allowed to go in the kitchen and make me something to eat. And this situation lasted for 30 days. I gained, I think, anywhere from 40 to 60 pounds. I got healthy again. But that was my introduction to the program of recovery. I got zealous about the program of recovery until I became a friend of a person and they choose to go back out. And I believed in my heart that why should I fight something that is eventually going to take me? I just need how to learn how to deal with the situation because I am totally in trouble. I'm totally in trouble. So I gave up and I went back out. But the interesting thing is that the program of recovery, when you get introduced to it, it changes your outlook on getting high. You may continue to get high, but it changes your outlook. Because now you start to pay attention to how you act while you're high, the things that you do while you're high. And I started doing things differently. I didn't know that the program of recovery, the thought was implanted in my brain. So I went on doing the normal stuff that I did. I changed my behavior. I did things differently, but I still used and abused. I still had my connections. I still was able to get the weight that I wanted. I was still able to do the things that I used to do. But something changed. Something changed. The thought of recovery was embedded in my brain, and it started by that nurse rubbing my hand and showing me her cleavage and being in my face. And those words that she would say would resonate in my brain. You don't have to live like this, Robert. You choose to live like this. And that was my curse, I thought. I thought that hearing that in the back of my brain all the time was my curse. But actually, it wasn't. The seed was sown. The seed was sown. So, recovery is a process. Some get it quickly, some people get it slowly, but it all materializes if we work for it. And I had to go through what I had to go through to get where I need to be today. I tried every length to do it my way for 40 years. I've tried every single method that you can think of to get high successfully and find out it didn't work because I tried it. I changed my behavior. I didn't want to hurt people anymore. I wanted a normal life. I seen people being with their family. I wanted that. I didn't have that. And that was probably the reason why I started getting high in the first place, because I lost what I so desperately wanted. And that's the thing. I had to deal with the trauma and the pain that I did not want to face, that I medicated myself. I medicated myself because I didn't want to face the hard, honest truth about my situation. I did not get well until I cleaned the wreckage of my past. I did not get well until I cleaned the wreckage of my past. And that was very, very important. Because when I cleaned the wreckage of my past, I gained peace. I gained peace. Peace on living a life far beyond my dreams. And how did I get there? By working on myself. By working on myself. I finally blame the person who's responsible for the situation that I'm in, and that was me. I put myself into active addiction. I destroyed my life by the choices I made. And for the first time, the pain that was deeply hidden in me, I released it, which caused hours of tears, crying, feeling the same pain as the situation just has happened. I went through an ordeal or a mental pain that is far beyond anybody I would want to go through. And when I released all that I was holding for so many years, for 40 years, I've been holding this pain and this animosity and this hurt and the trauma and all the things I've done to myself and others. And I finally let it go. And when I let it go and gave it to a power greater than myself, it restored my sanity. For the first time, I can truly look at myself and look at my past and know what I need to do to make Robert a better person. I finally gave up. I believed that my way was not working. I believed that I duped myself in active addiction, which caused me to stay in active addiction for a very long time. And when I got into the information and paid attention to myself, just how cunning, baffling, and powerful I can be against myself by wanting what my body calls for is more pleasure. And I was getting it from the drug. And my body was just giving me more dopamine, and I just want more and more and more and more and more and more. And my brain said, send more. My body said, yeah, I love this. Send me some more, send me some more, send me some more. And I listened. and I destroyed my life. Recovery taught me that my body is a machine. It runs a certain way. And I must have balance in everything. So my body runs the right way. I must have a normal amount of dopamine so my body can act in the right, proper manner. And I learned that I was abusing myself because I kept asking for more pleasure because the pain was so great that I got addicted to the pleasure because that's all I had to look forward to. And my body loved the dopamine. I learned that my mind controlled my behavior. And the thoughts that I pump into my mind, I can con myself and manipulate myself to make the wrong choice and act in a certain manner. So they say addiction is cunning, baffling, and powerful. I say Robert is cunning, baffling, and powerful because he can dupe myself. I can con myself. I can manipulate myself to make a wrong choice and don't even know it. And thinking that I'm making the right choice. So recovery taught me that Robert has to pay close attention to himself because Robert is his worst enemy. And the reason why is because I act on the information that's in my brain. And if I don't look at it in the right manner, I can destroy myself. I can make bad decisions. See, I told myself that smoking cocaine relieved the pressure of the trauma and the pain that I was experiencing. My body loved the dopamine, so I said, send some more down here. So now my body's telling me one thing, my brain is telling me another thing, and I do what they say. And it owns up to sending more cocaine, smoke some more, smoke some more, smoke some more. Don't run out. And I destroyed my life for 40 years. And when you look back at what you've done to yourself in your addiction and you're in recovery, then you have an opportunity to share your pain and your way out of this crazy life that you've chosen for yourself to have a normal life. And recovery taught me that I'll never have a normal life. I'll have a good life, but it won't be really normal because I'm screwed up. I allowed a drug to alter my mental capacity. I allowed a drug into my body to control my situation. And it became the most important thing to me. So after realizing all these things that I've done to myself, that I thought that this drug was helping me, it became my prison. And how did I get here? By my own actions and thought process on the choices that I made. The more I got into recovery, the more I realized that how I got there is all Robert's fault. Robert, you choose not to deal with your trauma the right way. You choose to deal with it the wrong way, which caused you to go down the rabbit hole. You made that choice. You. And the first time I held myself accountable for my own actions. For 40 years, I blamed everything that happened to me on somebody else or a situation that happened. But recovery made me look at myself and my actions. And that's what keeps me clean and sober. Looking at myself, paying attention to myself, my actions and my deeds. Not just make quick decisions on things, do my research, investigate, find out. And that's what recovery has taught me. Recovery has taught me that I'm the most important person in the world to me. It doesn't matter how you got to recovery, as long as you got there. You know, there's a saying around the rooms, it don't matter what reason you came into recovery for, as long as you leave with the right reason. And what is the right reason? To find out why you got high in the first place. Why you felt you had to use drugs to solve the problem. And how you could change your behavior and understand that addiction caused you to lose focus of yourself and make bad decisions. You made bad decisions. I made bad decisions. That's why we're in recovery. That's why we share what goes on with us in our recovery and in our addiction. When I realized after trial and error in the program of recovery, and then I finally got it, and I realized, I said, Robert, you've been duping yourself for 40 years. You've been the fool. You fooled yourself. You've conned yourself. You manipulated yourself to do the wrong thing. You made that choice. Now it's time to change your behavior and do something different, because that shit hasn't worked for 40 years and you're still trying to believe that it will. You keep going down the rabbit hole saying it's going to get better, doing the same thing, expecting different results, and it's not happening. When are you going to give up and try something new? When are you going to give up the power of control because your way is not working? When I gave up, that's when I got recovery. When I finally gave up, when I finally believed that my way wasn't working, that the path that I was traveling is not the path that I want to go. I want something different. I want something better. And I'm willing to learn and listen so I can get something better. But I didn't realize how painful going through the process of recovery was going to be. But I had to face it. I had to go through it. I had to go feel it. I had to understand it. And I did. And in this process, I learned who Robert truly was. That I lost Robert for 40 years. That I finally got him back. The person that he used to be before his addiction. and I liked who I was. My life got better. Oh, but some people in recovery, they feel, well, I want to be like him. I want what he has. I don't know why I can't get what he has. I didn't look at it like that. I didn't look at what anybody else had. I focused on making my life better. And every time something negative would happen, I would say to myself, Robin, if you was doing what you was supposed to be doing, you would not be in the situation that you're in today. So it's your fault. So change your behavior and do something different to make it better. I remember when I was in the work program and I asked a guy for a cigarette and he told me, I'm not giving you none of my cigarettes. You need to get your act together, your program together, so you have some cigarettes. I'm not supposed to supply you with nothing. And I didn't get my feelings hurt. I said to myself, Robert, if you was doing what you're supposed to be doing, you would have money for your cigarettes and you would have cigarettes. But due to the fact that you did the things that you did, and now you're mending and changing your behavior and changing your life, it's going to take time for you to be able to have the things that you want. So you got to work on yourself. When a person took $20 when I was staying at the work program, I didn't get mad. I said, if I wasn't at this work program and I was doing what I was supposed to be doing for Robert, then I would not be in the situation that I was in now. My $20 wouldn't be taken. Or if I would have just put my money in my wallet, knowing that I'm in a program, that this can't happen because everybody's not here to get well, I shouldn't have did that. So I didn't let negative things overpower me because I put myself from addiction to recovery and I'm repairing myself. So I'm letting myself know out loud that if I did the right thing or if I was doing the right thing, I would not be in the situation that I am now and how I look at things. And that made me easy to deal with situations that came arise. And I moved right up in recovery. I shared meetings. I did a karaoke for the house, and I put up money for the first prize, the second prize. I created the whole thing. I was all involved in helping others in recovery. But I stayed arm's length because I didn't want to get into people's personal business in recovery because I noticed that it became mudslinging and secret conversations about people in recovery. And I didn't want to get involved in it because I know that doesn't lead to nothing good. So what I did was I just stayed focused on me to make myself better. And as I was making myself better and learning more about recovery, doors started opening up for me. And I started having things, and my life got better. Yes. So In closing, recovery is a process. It's a process of learning about yourself. It's a process of understanding that just because you see a thing a certain way does not mean that it's the truth or it's the best course of action to go. Recovery is a beautiful thing. I understand that Robert is his worst enemy, that Robert can cause himself to go back down the rabbit hole. Robert can destroy his life. Robert, by the choices he makes. So I keep the focus on myself. And I understand that I'm an imperfect person and I make mistakes. So that keeps me humble. And it also keeps me vigilant. I can't say it because of it keeps me constantly focused on me. That I am my worst enemy. That my addiction is cunning, baffling, and powerful, which is talking about Robert and his addiction. He's cunning, he's baffling, and he's powerful. And by me respecting that moment and that feeling and that situation in my life causes me to be humble and understand that we all are our worst enemies. And if we don't choose to do the right thing, if we don't choose to have discipline in the actions and the deeds that we do, we can cause our lives to get worse. We can make bad decisions and cause us extra problems in our lives. We are our own heroes. And the only way we can be a hero to ourselves is do the next right thing. Recovery taught me to do the next right thing, regardless of how I feel about the situation. Just do the next right thing. Don't think about it, just do the next right thing. And that's how I started my recovery. And it was a challenge in the beginning, but then it became repetition. It became easy. I just did it. Regardless of the consequences, I just did it. And my life got better. My choices got better. I started having things. I started becoming honest, good friends. I created a family for myself. I created people that cared and loved me, all because I kept doing the next right thing. And being in active addiction for 40 years, doing the next right thing was Greek. I had to learn. I had to follow. And I had to create the situation to make my life better. So, it's Friday, and I hope I shared some things to make you think. What I want you to get out of this 33-minute message that I shared with you about my recovery is that you are the most important person to yourself. You are not perfect, so you're going to make mistakes. And if you're going to make mistakes, so does everybody else is going to make mistakes. And they're going to make mistakes because they're going to look at things a certain way. And they won't get it right until they go from trial to error. Some people want to hold on to their mistakes and believe that their way is the best way, even though it's a bad decision. They have a right to make a good decision or a bad decision because that's their life, their choice, that's their way. And the reason why I say that is I didn't get well. I didn't overcome addiction until I chose to go down the path of recovery. Nobody changes who they are and the way they see things unless they do themselves. If they want to hold on to their old ways and their own and keep trying different ways to change their behavior, but do the same thing, expecting different results, that's on them. That's not on me. The more I pay attention to myself, the more my life gets better. And I hope you pay attention to yourself so your life gets better. And last but not least, remember this. Just because it looks good doesn't mean it's good for you. This is Robert Goodman here on Positive Stroke, Staying Clean. I hope I shared some things in recovery that'll help you. Remember, you're the most important person to yourself. You can live your best life if you choose to. It's all up to you. The way you can is understand that you're not a perfect person, that you do make mistakes. That maybe your decision that you make in this manner may be wrong. Maybe you're going to have to do some work on self to make a better decision. The only way you're going to find out is if you do the investigation on yourself and be honest and open about your choices and what you're doing with your life. It's totally up to you to live your best life. It's totally up to you to find a way that works for you in recovery. It's totally up to you. And it only can be done by you by giving 110% of yourself to the program of recovery. You have a great and wonderful day.